and the amount of work we thought would be required discouraged us from taking that route. And I did get some help from a consultant, actually a friend of my son based in Pensacola, Florida. Shout out to him. I have to put in the notes his name because he was very helpful. He actually worked for a printing company for a lot of years, and I think he still does freelance work, but now he's like a printing consultant.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And he knew like the lay of the land. He knew the advantages and disadvantages. My apologies for just thinking of this in this video. I would have had his name ready. But you'll see in the notes in the he's in Pensacola, Florida, and it was now probably 3 years ago I spoke to him. So he laid out the advantages and disadvantages of each system basically, and he said, look, if you want to do it for less money, you can get this. It's going to mean more work from you. It's going to, as you said, Paul, need self-promotion. Some of them needed self-distribution as well. He mentioned the Amazon service. He knew all about Lulu. And then he talked about the small independent publishers that are quite common, that give you some advantages and can be good, but it's a bit of a look at the draw who you get. And he had some names. And then the big, well-known, reputable publishing houses that he'd already had experience of, and he gave me the advantages and disadvantages. Now, I had another data point, and that was some of the ILSSI community, International Lean Six Sigma Institute community, had also published recently. There's a book called Lean Sustainability that was published by Professor Chad Law and Beth Cudney and Sandy Furinger and one other gentleman. I'm afraid I can't remember the name, but there's 4 authors of that book, Lean Sustainability. And they'd given me a copy of that book recently in the last couple of years at a conference. And that seemed to, and when I read it, I was impressed by its quality and its layout. And that was Routledge Press. And Routledge seemed to have different branches within Routledge. I think Routledge is somebody can correct me, but I think Routledge is the large corporation. And then in Routledge, there's Taylor and Francis. So it might be Taylor and Francis are the big company, and then Routledge are one below. But Taylor and Francis and Routledge are the same company. So is Productivity Press. So Productivity Press, you'll see on books, and also CRC Press. I don't know what that stands for. We can look that up as well. So there's at least 4 like names that are the same publisher, and they just use it's different distribution channels. I don't know, like it's a different brand. Maybe it was like a merger of different publishers at one point, and they wanted to keep the same name. Yeah. But if you go, so we knew that they'd done a good job for lean sustainability. We knew that they liked that sort of niche market, that they were into business improvement books, and they had an interest in lean. So I contacted them, pitched them on the idea of lean blockchain systems thinking. They replied reasonably quickly. I think within a week or so. A gentleman called Michael Sanocci contacted us, said, I'm interested in your idea and would like to have a Zoom call. Let's talk about it. And we did that. He then explained the steps. You would produce your manuscript, if that's what it's called. You would send it to us for a first approval. If we like it, then we'll go ahead to the next phase. We will then, once you do sign a contract with them, it's a very long contract. We had a bit of back and forth with the contract. It's got the obvious stuff like royalties, but it's also got a lot of things like you cannot be using the information in the book yourself without a permission. You can't be publishing it anywhere, even as a PDF. Without our permission. They own the rights to it. And then there's a various schedule of things. It said if we make a movie out of it, you get like X amount of money. So I was thinking, great, lean blockchain, the next
movie.
Hollywood blockbuster, if they make a movie, if they give you speaking engagements, even about the book, specific to the book, they get a cut of that. And I think that might be if they organize it. So yeah, it's you know you might even depending on how much money you think the book's going to make, you might want to have a solicitor, a lawyer look at it, right?
Yeah.
But it was relatively low risk for us. It was our first publication, and Michael gave us a lot of sense of trust. He was good at communicating. That's Michael Sanocci. We got to the point where we'd signed the contract. The manuscript was approved. He said, "Okay, we're now going to go into the publishing process," and it was going to take approximately 6 months to go from the time when they said yes, we're going to go ahead, to when it actually would be published. It could have even been a little longer than that, but it wasn't a year, but it was between 6-8 months.
So when you say that, John,
Yeah,
does that include them formatting the book?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
they're formatting
yeah,
the book,
yeah,
designing the cover,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So obviously for me, when I go publish,
yeah,
I can literally, you know,
yeah.
if I've got everything ready, I can upload it, and
Right,
within 15 minutes, I can
right.
press publish, and it's
Yeah,
published, and it's off to the world.
yeah,
The only thing that slows you down on Lulu is they insist you take a proof copy.
yeah.
So what they say is, if you press publish, they'll say, well, it's on the Lulu website, but it won't go to Barnes and Noble, and it won't go to Amazon unless you've taken a proof copy, you've read it, and you've said it's okay.
Mm,
So that takes maybe a week
mm,
additional time,
mm.
but that's assuming everything's formatted and ready.
Yeah, good. I'm just going to cut out a piece because I'm going to get a copy of my original book before they did any work on it to explain that. I think that's a good idea, that what you should do is get it as good as you think it should be. Go to a local printer, have them make a copy for you, just like a few copies, maybe hand them to some friends to have a look at.
Yeah.
Because once you have the real look and feel, you have it in your hand, that's when you can start reading it like a book. That's when you notice the layout. It's difficult to
Yeah.
see it from PDF. So let me
Yeah.
just. Yes, Paul. So one piece of advice I would give is that be, before you approve your final cut manuscript with the publisher, like the one we used, and as I say, I'll put the names in the comments, but it's Routledge, Taylor and Francis, CRC, and Productivity Press. They go under different names depending. So on the front of our book, they've actually got the Routledge. Right, let's get this right.
The R, yeah, the big R symbol.
Oh,
Move it towards the middle of your chest, John.
yeah. Ah, yeah. Thank you.
That's
Right.
it.
So the big R on one corner, but it also says Productivity Press on the other corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So um, before you say that you've finished your manuscript and your version, what I would recommend is that you take your manuscript, design your own cover, make a proper cover, and get a local printer, or you could use Lulu for that one copier, right? You could use Lulu,
Yes.
but I just said I'm going to go to the local printer, um, CVN Print in Maxwell Street, South Shields. Very good. Little
Yes.
plug for CVN Print, Michael and Mark, and they will have the tools to make you a version. So The original version that made without any publisher, just using the PDF and designing a cover on Word. This cover was designed on Word, and this was what CVN Print in South Shields made for me, and they made like 10 copies that I
Yeah.
could easily give them to people to take a look at. And then you get a feel for it, right?
Yeah.
And you get a feel for, look, is it going to be, what are the diagrams going to look like?
Absolutely.
Color, right? Page numbering, like whether it's what we're going to say up at the top as chapter headings, font size, right? All this sort of thing is necessary. So we learned a lot from this. This is a prototype, right? It's classic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Classic prototype. It's a minimum viable product, right?
I do, John. One
Yeah,
of the things I do is early on, once I've written the text, I'll just load it to Lulu with the most basic cover. They've
yeah,
got a cover designer built into their software, and you can literally just go, there's the cover, put the word test on the front or something,
yeah,
and then get it back. And then you can look. So you're right, things
yeah,
like formatting,
yeah,
that the title of a chapter
yeah,
should always be on the flat part of the book,
yeah.
not the bent open
The,
part of the book.
yeah, the odd pages. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's always got to be, yes, that's on page 151. Yeah. So they're all on odd
exactly,
pages. So all the chapters start on odd pages. And those are
exactly.
things that you don't see until you got the book in your hand and you suddenly look at it and you think, this looks bloody awful.
Exactly. So we learned a lot from that. We modified some of the look and feel of it. And then the next step was that Routledge Press, and this project manager, basically where you get assigned a project manager, which is this guy Michael Sonocci. And then he assigned editor to it. I don't know whether that's the word he called them, but a person that is going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, do the proofreading, do the setup of the diagrams, do the font sizes, all that sort of thing, is another person within.
Yeah.
And this guy, you can find him on LinkedIn, was called Harry Sudhan, Hari. And Harry was very, 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 very good at communicating, really proactive in recommending things, asking our approval of changes. Do you mind if we do that? Are you okay with that? He seemed to be very industrious and efficient. And he sent us like various versions as he went through it for our approval. So we were very happy with that process. That probably took in total a couple of months. One part of that was they have their own graphic designer, their graphic team, their marketing team, and they suggest a cover because they didn't like that cover. They didn't like that cover, no. So and that was the front cover. On the back cover, we actually had, in our design, there you go, on the white shirt, we actually had photographs, right? And we had a bio of each author, and then we had a testimonial, which is also a good idea. If you can get testimonials for the book and put them in the book, we got one from a blockchain Web3 related company